character, the wonderful guy over here, is the Ric Flair of comic books,
Woo!
Uncle Gary. And down below is the road manager, Dan the Kelly Art. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Doing all right.
He's there.
Like the festive background.
There you go. Yes, it's holiday season, ladies and gentlemen. The time of Christmas carols or carols that love to go caroling. And eggnog, spiked or not spiked, and awesome food, and comics of the week and characters of the week.
I've caroled a couple times. I've enjoyed it.
Sal's not with us right now, ladies and gentlemen, but he will make an appearance later on this evening.
He's threatened that.
Sal is at an Italian cold cuts convention right now.
Oh.
And he'll be back after it's all finished. He's learning what to do. He's learning about everything that's new in Capicola.
That's fantastic.
One of my new comics this week shows exactly where Sal's been.
Oh my God!
So I'm just gonna say that one of the new comics that I picked up at the store yesterday shows exactly where Sal's been, and I can't wait to show that on Saturday night.
Oh my Lord! I don't have any pulls coming out this week, but I am hitting the shop on Saturday, and I'm going to pick up some new books so that way I can have some stuff for this weekend.
Oh, I was listening to I didn't know you guys were doing the podcast tonight. When I was commenting at the end, you didn't read my last comment when I put like big flow instead of heavy flow, and you're like, "Oh, he meant heavy."
No,
flow.
I did. I threw it up there. That you're like, her name doesn't even matter because she was the character.
I didn't see that. That's when I was walking upstairs.
Heavy Flow
I read
was
the third issue of Transformers, man. That was crazy.
Oh, I haven't read New Transformers yet.
You haven't read issue 3 yet?
Not yet. So I'm gonna go pick that up.
There's an awesome double page splash scene in this fight that when you read it, you'll turn it and be like, "Oh shit!"
Listen, I don't want to think about a double page splash scene and Heavy Flow at the same time.
Oh my God!
Let's not do that.
Dan, I want to ask you though. You weren't on the episode with Mon Comics with us, but did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. I put in the chat that I watched. It was good stuff.
Nice.
Like when Gary was like, "And I didn't get to show you this or this." Well, I only got 5, so I couldn't show you this. I couldn't show you this.
Nobody puts Gary in a corner.
Listen, that was all part of the gag. We had discussed that going.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
So
I remember. I watched it. It was some good stuff. How you showed off the Christmas book and all.
Yeah.
Great.
Next time you guys do one, I want to do it too.
Absolutely.
Well, the next time he has members of Codex on, I do believe it's going to be the members that have not been on the show. So me, Gary, Sal, and Wes will be out, and then those that are left are you, Jamie, Sonny, Kristen, and Kevin that he gets to choose from. So
I mean, Gary's got to be on there regardless. He's got better stuff than all of it. So,
that don't matter.
Listen, we got to be equitable, but they got on base for me to hit it out of the park. That was the whole thing. And the gag was I was going to do that. And when I look back, I thought it was pretty funny. When I'm going, you don't get to see this. You don't get to see that. You don't get to see this.
Not a bit of it.
Good. And then he wanted to see the FF, and we're like, this? But you don't get to see that.
Yeah, you don't get to look at any of this.
I got this facsimile here.
Yeah. and the fellas are all up for that. And then Sal hit it up perfect with the X-Men Unbroken Run one.
Oh yeah, Uncle Gary, what's your X-Men run start at right now?
And usually I'll say, it starts at let me see. 1. But I was like, it starts at this one.
Great. Are you guys? I guess it's not technically a facsimile because it's got the different art. Are you getting that Batman book that came out this week, the Jason Todd one?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. So I will go pick that up. That's the alternate ending. Is that right?
It's not. It's the alternate ending, but I guess it's because everybody.
It's in the middle of the book.
Yeah, everyone has seen like that one page where it's like he's alive, but apparently he did, I guess, at least rough art for like the entire rest of the issue for what it would have been if he had survived. So, because if it was just one page, I'd be like, I saw that page, everybody's seen it. I'm not going to pay $5 to get that. But
I haven't side by sided them, so I will do that with one of my trades or whatever and see exactly what was different.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I got the. Yeah, I've got the.
I'm the right way, right?
Yeah. You could tell Gary how much I I read this and reread
that's an
it
old
over
one.
and over as a kid.
For the long times, that was the only reprint edition available for a long time.
The pages are somewhat orangish because at one point I spilled orange juice on it.
As long as they're not, well, so actually they are sticky.
Yeah.
Dan, this is what I'm reading right now.
In fact, I'm going to leave that out so I can.
Nightfall. Nice.
Yeah, that's my after hours reading.
So the guy that wrote that, Sam Hamm, just has a new. He's writing Batman '89. A little mini on it.
Yeah.
I just picked up the first issue of that last week.
Yeah, introducing Scarecrow and Harley Quinn to that.
Yep.
That universe.
To that Bat universe. Yep.
Nice.
But yeah, I saw that book's coming out this week, and I debated. I was like, well, I'm gonna get the regular copy, but they have a foil one too, and I was like really debating, like, well, I want the.
Got to pick and choose.
But do I need to get both? And
sounds like a Sal problem.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, tell Sal to get it.
I reserved the regular copy. Now I'm kind of thinking like I should have reserved. Like I didn't need to get both. I should have just reserved the foil copy and just had that. But whatever.
If either of you are interested, Nirvana Comics in Knoxville is going to have 2 exclusives, one for Duke and one for Cobra Commander. They're store exclusives. If either of you are interested, let me know and I will reserve copies for you.
Do you know what they're going to look like?
Yes, I can show you after the episode, and they'll be $20.
Oh, I'm out then. $20 is too much for a new issue for me.
You know that it can always be paid back at a later time too, so I'll let you think about it. You tell me.
You need to go to them and tell them that you know a guy that would love to draw an alternate cover for a book.
I know a guy on Codex that's a wonderful artist. What do you say?
I think I actually did reserve the blank sketch cover for Duke and Cobra Commander.
Did you? Good deal.
I got the blank sketch cover for because I reserved. I was like, oh, I'm going to get this, so I got the blank sketch for that, and then I picked it up out of my box. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to draw on this. I was like, I've already got like 3 other Batman blank sketch covers that are sitting there to be drawn on. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to draw on them either.
That's a nice cover, though.
Yeah,
to do artwork on.
I didn't even think about it until I got it, and I was like, I don't have a lot of space to draw it because this logo takes up a whole lot of space.
Yep.
So I don't know what I'm going to draw there, but I'll figure something out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the pre-show right now. We will be for another couple of minutes before we get started. Don't forget to find us on all the socials, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is type in at the Codex Station. That is where we will be, your favorite social media platforms, and where we're live streaming right now. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow. It definitely helps channels like us out. Smaller channels, we do very much appreciate it, and that's the best way to support us is by hitting the like, share, subscribe, or follow wherever you're watching us at right now. Once again,
we have all the socials, and we would love to give them to you.
That is very true. Unprotected, unfiltered,
raw dog, baby.
And also, if you want even more Codex action in your pockets, go ahead and head over to thecodexstation.com for all your Codex needs. Get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, thecodexstation.com, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time for big introductions. So, Uncle Gary, the floor is yours. Why don't you let everybody know what you're doing when you're not doing Codex stuff?
When I am not doing Codex stuff, I am one of the proud co-owners of Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store, and we would love to see you come in the door. We also do a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. Now, we won't do it. We're off for the rest of the year, so we won't do it next Thursday. But you can come see us on Thursday, on all the first 3 Thursdays of every month. We'll do a preview show the first Thursday, and then the second, third Thursday, we'll be presenting Ye Grumpy Old Nerds, which is myself, our principal owner, Rob Kalin, and my best friend, Mike Harbor. And we talk all sorts of nonsense. I just did a show tonight and then came here, did this show. So please come stop by, see us there. But yeah, if you're in Northern Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, please come see us. We would love to have you there. Also, we are all connected to Comic Character of the Day. It's a site founded by our good buddy Archduke Kevy, who is a host on this station too, and he is the glue that we have all been connected by. That's how we're all acquainted. So I post a cover of the day under the name of Taylor. Dan, he always posts a question of the day and a random panel of the day. And Tim is always ever vigilant, watching to make sure that we are doing the right thing. So please come partake of that. Now, the fella down below, he's right there. I don't usually get to introduce him, but besides being my road manager, he is the guy that separates the wheat from the chaff, so I can, when he's presenting me with the fan.
Are you giving Dan one of the introductions you usually give me?
I can circle back around.
No. Go ahead. Give it to Dan. He deserves it this night. I will sit back and listen.
Well, Sailor, how bad do you want me to give it to Dan?
So hard and so fast that he doesn't know what hit him.
Man.
But afterwards, he's incredibly satisfied.
Dan, it's coming from the top rope, baby.
Apparently.
Listen, here's how we want to give it to Dan. Dan on Instagram is ramping up to get his followers up to 1,000. So we have a big program going. It's 1K for DK. So be part of that movement. 1K for DK. We're going to get him up to 1,000 followers. I don't understand all the techno stuff, but evidently he owns Instagram, and he owns what used to be Twitter, and he owns all these platforms on all these social things. So I'm not the guy to speak for it, but I just know that what he does for me, he takes care of all the business that I have inside and outside of the ring. And if you want him to take care of your business, he can do that. And he is the man. Not only can he take care of it, he can illustrate your business. Whatever business that you want illustrated, that man can draw it, and draw it with a flourish. So if you need somebody that is artistic and somebody that has not only the vision to put it to paper, but the talent in his fingers to put it on the blank page and then come out with a masterpiece, of which I have them hanging in my library and places of honor. If you too want to have a Dan Kelly masterpiece, all you do is talk to him, contact him, and he will deliver. May I introduce Dan Kelly?
Holy shit.
Hi. Wow, that was really good. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
You earned that, Dan. You earned that.
Yeah, so check me out on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I post art and music there a few times a week. I've actually only posted once this week because I've been super busy and haven't been able to draw that much, but I will be posting more again very soon. Got a lot of stuff done, just waiting to post. And yeah, like I said, for your you said the shop you go to, Tim, as the variant covers. If anyone out there wants a variant cover that will actually get printed, that's a goal of mine right now. That's my goal for next year, is to get somebody somewhere to get me to do a variant cover that will actually be printed and put out there
on a book. That's fantastic.
That's the two goals: to hit 1,000 followers and to do a variant cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, get that big D across the finish line. We need this to happen. 1K for DK.
Hey, he's got big D energy. Did we know that?
If you don't have enough vitamin D in your life, or vitamin K for that matter, both are essential. Dan the Kelly Art will help you. 1K for DK, ladies.
You know that cover that everyone out there, we have a group chat for all the team, and Kevin shared the Hawkeye sketch cover that had Hawkeye from MASH on there. It made me think. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get that. I didn't know when I reserved the blank sketch cover for Duke #1. I was like, I don't really know what I'll draw. I just know that I like G.I. Joe, and I'm sure I'd come up with something. I was like, Duke. Maybe I'll draw Duke like the Duke, and I'll draw John Wayne wearing Duke's uniform on there.
Oh, you know who you're talking to now, right? You know that I'm a huge John Wayne fan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
speaking of language,
I'll draw the Duke on there for Duke.
You remember that painting that Kevin Bednar's made for me that's hanging in the den that he did? Oh my God, that's phenomenal. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys, if you're ready, I'm ready. I think it's time to get this show on the road.
Yeah. Sal just said he'll be on in 5 minutes.
Then I guess we're waiting for 5 minutes for Sal to get in here.
Listen, I got a question. Dan, you're a big MASH fan, right?
Oh yeah, I got the movie on DVD, the anniversary on DVD. I grew up watching the show, loved it.
Movie's so good.
Favorite
It is.
MASH episodes.
When they're reading the comic books that didn't exist in the years they're supposed to be in the Korean War.
I like as much as I. That's tough. I tended to like as much as I liked BJ Honeycutt on there. I did like Trapper John more. I liked and again, like,
is he who came later in the series?
BJ was later.
Yeah, okay.
Trapper John was on there first because he was the one from the movie. I did like Charles on there when they.
I did too.
I like Charles more than I liked Frank because Charles was still that kind of uptight guy, but he would also kind of get into the shenanigans with him that Frank just wouldn't do.
Well, he's much smarter than Frank too.
Yeah, I liked. I really liked Harry Morgan on there, but
I did too.
But I liked, I liked the original Commander more.
Donald Sutherland was in the movie, correct?
He was in the movie. Okay. He was Oddball. No, he wasn't Oddball. He was Hawkeye, right?
Yeah, he was Hawkeye, and Elliot Gould was
BJ.
Trapper John.
Trapper John.
Now, the same guy that played Radar was in the television show too. Is that correct?
Right?
He's the only one that was in both.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Loretta Swit was in the TV show, but it was it Flet? God, was it Shit, I can't remember her name now. Sally Kellerman. Sally Kellerman was in the movie.
What's his name that played the character with the ridiculously racist name that was in the movie and was on the first season of the show but barely on it before they were like, this is too problematic. Even for back then, they realized it was problematic. It was Fred Williamson.
Yeah. My favorite episode was Old Soldiers, where Colonel Potter was in Tokyo, and he said he was visiting a sick friend, and he came back. He was very irritable, very angry, and the 4077 was very worried about his health, that maybe something was wrong with him, and there was a special package coming that he was getting on Klinger to you make sure nothing happens to that package, blah, blah, blah. And then he sent them out mysterious letters inviting Hot Lips and Hawkeye and BJ and Klinger and Charles to his tent. And they came there, and when they showed up, he was dressed in his World War I uniform, his dress uniform. And he said that he had a pledge that he was going to uphold, and that in his
there he is.
Hey, buddy, that in a trench in the war in 1918, he and four buddies gathered together as they were being shelled and being bombed, and they came across a case of wine, and they drank a lot of the wine, but they saved one bottle, and the survivor of the last one standing of those guys would drink a toast to the fallen comrades. And it was really
it was a good one.
It was a great episode. And Potter poured a drink for himself, and he asked if everybody would join him in a drink. And even Winchester would go, "We would be honored, sir." And he first pours himself a drink, and he drinks by himself a toast to the other four, and he talks about them that had died, because the fella in Tokyo was the last one that, besides Potter, left. And then he did a toast with all his new friends. And I just thought it was very poignant, because the thing that's cool about Potter was this was his third war. World War I, World War II, and
Korea.
So that was always my favorite episode of MASH. I just loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to comic books, we love dramatic and comedic television. MASH is one of the greatest shows ever made, and highly recommend.
My dad loved that show.
So did my dad.
I love the show.
I don't know.
I'm your dad.
Our dad loved that show, Sal.
It's for me, it's not really specific episodes that stand out as much as like specific moments from them. And even though the show definitely started out as a comedy, but as Alan Alda got more control over the show, being like the star of it
became more dramatic.
It got more dramatic, but like some of the stuff I remember, like the really emotional moments, was the last episode that McLean Stevenson was on when they wrote Henry Blake out, and it was like Colonel Blake out, and it's like, oh, he gets to go home, and this is, everybody wants to go. It's so great, wonderful. And then they're in the operating room at the end of the episode, and Radar comes in and tells him, and Paul Sommer, he's like, Colonel Blake's chopper was shot. His chopper was shot down. It's missing. They don't believe there's any survivors, and it was just like. And it was while they were operating, and there was just silence for a couple seconds, and then it just went back to like, oh, I need the clamp here and that. But like to me, that was such an emotional part because like he was such a great character. He was the leader of them, and and it's like they gave him that moment of silence, but then you also have to go like, all right, well, they're just it's right back into it.
We gotta do our jobs.
And then and then the final episode too, the one it was a really good performance by Alan Alda where, I want to say, don't want to spoil it for anyone. I mean, the show's been off the air for how many decades? Like 40 years, but 50 or whatever. But, the final episode when Hawkeye was like tortured because it was after, at the end of the war and it was, like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it's a very emotional episode. And the thing that tortures him when you see what it was, and he keeps remembering it, and he keeps remembering it a little differently until he unlocks the memory of what it was that really happened. And it's very powerful, but it also it also shows you like what the stakes were for everybody there at the time.
Yeah. Very true.
Sal, I hand the reins over to you. The show is yours. I kept the seat warm.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Don't forget about the don't forget about the spin-off show from it.
Aftermatch.
Yeah. It's like the new WKRP in Cincinnati, like just let the greatness lie.
Yep.
Yep. I gotta agree with that. All right, are we ready to kick off the show?
They are doing a MASH reunion at the beginning of 2024.
Wow.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm ready if everybody else is ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, hang tight for a quick 30 seconds while we do this groovy bass tune.
Yes.
We will be right back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week. I am Sal. I'm your host, Sal, the Slab Guy. I had no pre-show, so I'm not even warmed up. I am your host, Sal, the Slab Guy. But as always, I'm with me. I've got my usual partners in crime, and I will start below. Dan the Man Kelly. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, but you look kind of blurry. Is it just me?
How about now? How about now?
No, I don't know if it's just my feed or not, but you're coming across like pretty.
It's a little blurry too. I think what it is, the Sal is just so damn good looking that the computer just can't process that image and put it out there because, oh my God, look at all women.
Sal doesn't have his glasses on either.
Look at Gary getting ready to do his Beast cosplay.
It's Beast, baby.
Uncle Gary, flattery will get you everywhere. I'm telling you right now, okay?
Flattery and cash will buy you a lot.
Oh my God.
But speaking of Uncle Gary, this is our Ric Flair of the comics coming to you from the Library of Comics. And of course, right next to me is Tim, the Luscious Locks, Tim the Terrible.
That's right. I put conditioner in this week just for you.
Oh, you put conditioner in every 3 hours. Let's not lie. Come on.
That may or may not be true, but this week
He
I
has
did it
people that come and put conditioner in.
I don't touch
does.
the locks. Other people do it for me.
It's when he goes to the salon.
That's yes. I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit it.
His salon is curl up and die.
You
You know what
know,
that's from? What movie is that from?
not offhand.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yes, girls
That
are
they
easy.
are.
I couldn't think of the title, but I could picture the scene.
Yeah.
If I could
picture the
go
scene.
to a place where beautiful women massage my scalp and touch my hair, and I pay them for it, yeah, I'm going to do that.
They have places like that.
That is true. That are legal.
Yeah,
And you
just
can
ask
pay-
Robert
pay
Kraft
extra.
about it.
Yeah.
In Vegas, you can pay extra for that.
Well,
Don't we have an
but-
X-Man to talk about?
Robert Kraft and Tom Brady like to have their balls deflated.
Oh my
Absolutely.
lord!
Wow.
Sal,
Well,
this
ladies and gentlemen,
one's all
this
you
is already
today.
off the. We are already off the
The
rails, ladies and
train
gentlemen.
is off the track. Sorry, buddy.
That's all right. What character are we covering tonight, ladies and
Beast.
gentlemen? Beast.
Beast.
Hank McCoy himself. I love the issues, Dan, because I got one of my top covers is right there
As
on
I
your
was
spinner rack.
one of these is in my top covers. One of them almost made it. And then as I was pulling books out to put in here, I saw another one. I was like, oh, I really hope someone had. I won't say which one, but I was like, I really hope somebody has this in their top covers because I really regret not putting it in mine. So if nobody has it, I'm going to specifically hold it up.
Hey, TJ.
TJ, what's happening, buddy?
Thanks for joining us.
I am a Dapper Dan man. I don't need no fop.
Dapper
Dan.
Dan, that's right.
You're Dapper
2
Dan.
weeks from everywhere. This is
Dan.
geographical oddity.
All right. Hey, so are we doing the short intros here, or did we already take care of that in the pre-show?
We took care of the big ones in the pre-show.
All right, then
we're
let's
ready to
get
jump
into
in.
it then. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us the info on this character we're doing tonight?
All right, so Beast, Hank McCoy, first appeared in X-Men #1, September
Gary's got that.
1963.
I have that.
Shocker. and how many do you have after that?
Okay, X-Men went 544 issues. So after one, I have 543. I did math.
Created by the guys that created most of the original Marvel characters, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yep.
His origin, he's a mutant, so he's born with powers. Hank McCoy, his father, Norton McCoy, was worked at a nuclear power plant and was exposed to a huge amount of nuclear radiation. And afterwards, they had his bouncing baby boy, Hank, who was born a mutant, so speculated that that's what caused it. He was in high school. He excelled at sports. He excelled at the books. And he left the school to join Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, where he was one of the original founding members of the X-Men. He has a genius-level intellect. He's considered one of the smartest characters in the Marvel Universe as far as physical attributes, superhuman strength, stamina, durability, speed, agility, reflexes, dexterity. As his, when he's the Beast, the one that we mostly associate with him, the blue furry one, he's got razor sharp claws and fangs and, covered in fur. And, do you guys know which or how many of the other X-Men were on the team before him?
2. I'm going to say 2.
I don't know.
I want to say 3. I think he was after.
I'll say
Angel.
1. I'll say 1.
He was number 4.
Oh.
Because remember, Cyclops was, the claim to fame with
Sure.
Cyclops is he was number 1. And then it was, at least according to one of the Beast stories, it was Cyclops, and then in whatever order, Angel and Iceman, and then Beast was 4.
There you go.
So
All
yeah,
right.
there we go.
All right, very good. So let's take 10 seconds to give a shout out to our sponsor, which is W Energy. Tim, if you could throw that ticker up for me, pretty please,
I
sir.
absolutely.
Head on over
will.
to WGG. Check out W Energy. They've got a good, clean energy drink going on. There's no bad aftertaste. There's no crash. There's no nasty stuff in it that the regular energy drinks out there have. They're a good, clean energy drink. Head over to WGG. Use the code X at checkout and save 10%. So go do it after the show, of course.
Do it.
Yes.
All right. So for our first segment of the night, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be how this character works best. And I want Uncle Gary to kick us off on this one.
All right, I'm going off on a tangent that will not be popular.
Uh-oh.
The Beast is a great teammate on a superhero team. He's fantastic. And it's not the X-Men. My Beast is an Avenger. When I first started reading comics, the Beast was an Avenger. I love him as an Avenger. The Beast that was an X-Men before he got blue and furry, I really don't find him interesting at all. I think that when the Beast in Amazing Adventures 11, I believe it was, when he experimented on himself and got gray and furry, I believe that's when he became a really interesting character. But to me, the Beast works best on the Avengers. On the original X-Men, he was the team brain. He was the team strong guy. He was the agility guy. On the Avengers, he's still the agility guy. But, you got the Panther on there, too, that's pretty damn agile. He is by no means the strong guy on that team. He is outclassed by Iron Man, Thor, Wonder Man, Hercules. We go down and down and down the list. Sentry, any of these guys that have been Avengers. He is way down the power list. And as far as brains go, he's still a very big brain, but you're talking about a team that has Stark, Pym on it. So you're talking about, upper tiers of the brilliance. So when McCoy was an X-Man, he had all this pressure on him. When he was an Avenger, that pressure was gone, and he could be a bit of a clown. He could be a bit of a goofball, always available in a pinch, a great team player, but a wonderful, wonderful teammate without having to carry the team. He's one of the guys that is not the of the Avengers. He's not the MVP, but he's one of the guys that's the glue that holds everybody together. That's how I like Hank McCoy. And I know a lot of this is about when I first started reading because he was an Avenger. And a lot of time your first impressions stick with him. But we'll get into this later. What I've seen of him with the X-Men, especially the last 15, 20 years, I have not liked at all what they've done with this character. So for me, I want the happy-go-lucky Hank McCoy that's an Avenger and the best bud of one of my favorite characters, Simon Williams Wonder Man.
Very good. Very good. Tim, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you like?
I'm going to carry on that conversation, Gary, but with a different team. I've never read him as an Avenger. I know of that, but sadly, I am not versed in those issues. I want to be, and I'm gonna be.
Makes me cry.
But when I was reading X-Men comics and X Factor, that had Beast in it. X Factor, Beast was back to his human-ish form. The massive hands and the massive feet, things like that. I think he had been dumbed down too. Like he suffered from lack of intelligence. Something happened to him. He wasn't super.
There's a story on that I will get into.
Right. But the Beast that I really enjoyed was during Jim Lee's run with the X-Men in the self-titled. I agree, Gary, that he is the glue to the team, and when he's with the X-Men, the pressure is definitely much more as far as the smartest. When him and Forge work together, it's awesome because then he's got another creative mind that he can work with, and it takes a little bit of that pressure off and allows him to be a little more creative. Like in one of the stories that's on my list that we'll get into, he was dealing with the Falnax virus, and it was just him trying to figure that out. And he was staying up day after day after day and getting grumpy and irritated and things like that. And that builds on that pressure. But in football terms, I think Beast is the center of the team.
I like that.
He snaps the ball. He protects his quarterback, whoever the team leader is. He is constantly motivating and pushing his teammates to do as good, if not better than him. And even in the cartoons, he had a sense of humor. And I love that. And I don't think that they utilized that near enough later on.
He's a morale booster.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much so. That's my take.
All right, very good. Dan, why don't you go ahead next on this?
Yeah,
I'll go
I'm
last.
gonna kind of agree with you guys. I like when he is using his intelligence to, as part of it for fighting the villains. He's got the intelligence and the physical power. But yeah, I like it when he's fun-loving and jovial. I do associate him more with the X-Men than the Avengers, but I've read a lot of and got a lot of the Avengers books when he was on the team. I loved him on the team, like you said, Gary. How his best buddies with Wonder Man. They even did that mini series where it was him and Wonder Man, and he guest starred in Wonder Man's book, and I guess he's going to be on X-Force now.
Isn't it called the Avengers 2 as in
Avengers,
TWO?
Yeah, Avengers 2, yeah. And so I like it when he's he's kind of beastly looking with the blue fur and all, and very smart, but excuse me. But yeah, when he doesn't have to be super serious. And you're right, before he got on the Avengers, when he was on the X-Men, you're right, he was kind of pigeonholed into being like, the guy on the team that has to do all the smart stuff to help him. And when he got on the Avengers, it's like, hey, there's these other guys that are super smart and I can help with that, but I can also like go hang out with Wonder Man at the movies and and just be a goofball and jump around. Like I like how they would have him bounce around the walls of the mansion.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the beast that I like. And I wish that we hope that they will soon get back to that, because he was also a lot of the times was like a moral center for other characters. When they would kind of be drifting off, and he'd be like, hey,
I love how Beast's humor was so highbrow that only he got it half the time, but he never got upset that nobody got his jokes. And, and he would just have an even better time with that.
And I will say, too, that if you had said at one point, like, oh, yeah, Kelsey Grammer is going to play a superhero in a superhero movie, you're like, what? What? And then you go, yeah, he's going to play the Beast. And you're like, that's perfect.
Yep.
Even though Last Stand was a terrible movie, he was absolutely perfect in that role.
Yep. Perfect.
During his Avengers days, he was also a sex symbol. I know there was one issue where he came home with 3 gals, 3 supermodels. So they love to rub their hands through the blue fur. So he was a sex symbol.
And the thing too, when he was on the Avengers, like the whole thing with the X-Men is, they hated and feared and all that. When he's on the Avengers, like you're on the world's premier superhero team, like you're not hated and feared. You're loved, and let's go have a good time. And it definitely showed a different, allowed him to be a little more free.
Right. Totally agree. So for my points are pretty much going to echo all of you guys. I like it when he's happy and jovial and he's bouncing around the mansion and he's pontificating. He's like, just going off on a tangent of, of science stuff, and nobody in the room is understanding him, but they're just like,
Hank, we don't know what you're saying.
But yeah, he's always just like randomly quoting Robert Frost and
Shakespeare,
Shakespeare, like all this stuff, because it's not just science. He's smart, like in literature too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I do like it when he's like paired up with 1 or 2 other people, and it's those people that actually banter with him, like Wonder Man did, like Spider-Man has, in the past. So stuff like that, like 1 or 2 people. I don't like him too much on a big team per se, but I don't mind him there. I hate him on the Avengers, by the way. He sucked in the Avengers. I'm just teasing. He's great. I know. I'm just teasing. I loved him in Avengers too. Avengers as well. Don't worry, Gary. It's okay. I'm just teasing.
He has good interactions with Wolverine.
Can I get him? Can I reach and grab Sal?
Him and Wolverine had good team membership. That like their friendship wasn't ever anything very emotional most of the time or very connecting, but there was a lot of respect there.
Yeah,
Gary
absolutely.
will ban Sal from ever entering.
Listen again. Wolverine and Beast lately aren't best buds.
No, not right now.
They are definitely not. No. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it. I echo a lot what you guys said with him. So let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is going to be our badass moments. And I want Dan to kick us off with that.
All right, so I'll start off with well, actually, I guess it's not that recent. This book came out like 10 years ago. Astonishing X-Men number 12. It was the last issue of the first, when Joss Whedon and John Cassidy did Astonishing X-Men, it was just supposed to be the 12 issues, the 12 issues in I think the annual. Then they're like, oh, we're gonna do 12 more. But this was the the end of it, and there's this cool fight scene. It only takes place over a couple pages, where in Danger, when the Danger Room kind of like became sentient and had a body, and before becoming a teammate of the X-Men was an antagonist in this story, and Beast has a fight where there and is just absolutely brutal the way he just tears into her or into the robot and rips it apart, and it's he kind of loses himself in the Beast aspect of him. So that was a pretty cool fight. To reference what Tim kind of said about X Factor, and X Factor number 19 for my second moment was they were fighting Apocalypse's horsemen, and the one horseman, Pestilence, touches him, and the effect that it has is it boosts all of his physical ability, so he gets stronger, faster, and all that. But the more that he uses those physical abilities, the more his intelligence decreases, and he realizes, like, oh, the more that I do this, basically the dumber I'm going to get. But he never stops doing anything. He still keeps going out and helping X Factor on their missions because he knows that they need him. And it just shows the selflessness of him, that his intelligence is even more so than all of his physical aspects. His intelligence is what really makes the character, is the most important thing to him, and he was willing to give that up to help his friends and his teammates when they needed him. And then the last one I have isn't really from, I don't know what the specific issue was that did it. I forget the issue number, but from X-Men when he cured the legacy virus. So the legacy virus, for anyone that doesn't know, was a virus that was out there that was killing mutants, and it was wiping them out. And before
is that what I was referencing earlier?
No,
did I just call it something different?
You did call it something different.
Okay.
Covenant.
It was X-Men number 390, by the way.
Okay, yeah. But it was I think like this took place before Phalanx Covenant. It was before M-Day, before Extinction, before all that. This was the disease that was wiping mutants out, and he came up with the cure, finally. But unfortunately, it came with the huge cost that for the cure to be out, to be like spread out there into the world, a mutant had to take it and then use their powers, and it would kill them, but then it would kind of put the spores, I don't remember exactly how they described it, but it would put it out into the world where it would cure the legacy virus for everyone. And Colossus, who was grieving because his little sister Ileana had died from the legacy virus, injects himself in it, metals up, he dies, but it puts the cure out there for the rest of the mutant world. But
how long did he stay dead?
Yeah, but Beast was the one that had come up with the cure.
Not very long.
No, it was like maybe a year or two.
No,
I don't even remember how he came back.
It was an Astonishing X-Men, that alien race that had like taken him, and they were experimenting on him to find a way to like get rid of mutants, because they had some prophecy that he was going to be like the doom of their race. And it had that awesome panel where like Kitty Pryde finds him, and like the door opens up, and you just see him standing there like like metaled up and badass looking, and he runs to like fight these the aliens, and he runs through her, and she's just standing there like dumbfounded, like, oh my god. But that's another character for another day.
Yeah,
that's yep. All right, Tim, what you got next? Why don't you go next?
Oh, geez.
Come on, hurry up. Let's go. Come on. Do them out there, buddy. Come on.
I'm going to say it that I don't know a whole lot about the exploits of Beast and his badass moment, so I'm going to pair everything that Dan said. That is my answer.
That's all right.
Yeah, from what I've read in X Factor, when his intelligence was being dumbed down, right? And still his ability, his want to help overrode the fact that he was losing a major part of him. That's fantastic. That's badass. The first issue of self-titled X-Men, when they have the team separated in blue and gold, and Beast is on his team. I think it was with Storm and Cyclops, or no, not Cyclops,
Not Cyclops.
but because Cyclops was with Professor X, but he's with Storm. Incredibly instrumental in attempting to make their way to the mansion. Wolverine did it, but that is besides the point. The fact that he's on the Avengers is badass on its own. That they chose a mutant, they chose Beast. That's the first crossover of the Uncanny Avengers right there. That's badass on its own. That's what I got. All of Dan's answers plus mine.
Okay, there you go. Uncle Gary, would you like to go next?
Sure. All right, so Beast becomes an Avenger in Avengers 137. How does he get the call to be an Avenger? What makes him decide he can be an Avenger? Does anybody know?
You tell me, and then I'll tell you if you're right.
What'd you say?
I know, but let me hear you say it so I know if you know.
Okay.
I wanted to guess Wonder Man.
The Wonder Man wasn't resurrected at that point, but good.
Okay.
Good guess. The Avengers were on a recruiting drive and had TV and newspaper ads looking for Avengers. Man. You can be an Avenger. Thor's on TV. You can be an Avenger. Well, Hank McCoy sees that. This is right after what's going on in Amazing Adventures 11 through 17 or 19, where he's in that title. And he shows up at Shea Stadium for Avengers tryouts in an Edward G. Robinson mask. So there you go. So then he gives a few Edward G. Robinson quotes and then takes off his mask and wants to be an Avenger. Well, his tryout is interrupted by the Galactic Elder, the Stranger, who has dropped explosive mines floating all over Shea Stadium, all over the field. And unless the Avengers get across the field and shut it down by a device he's left there, then they will all explode. A bunch of them will explode. So Thor goes through the mines thinking nothing can hurt me. And sure enough, he hits one that explodes. He's out. Iron Man's going to go through with his repulsors, trying to get through. And sure enough, he's knocked out in the explosion. Even the Wasp can't get through. And the Wasp has been hurt badly because she doesn't have the protection that Thor and Iron Man have to take a hit like that. The Beast goes through all these mines with his agility, with his strength, with his precision, and he gets through all these hazards, gets to the other side of the field, and shuts down the Doomsday device.
Wow.
And here, what a great audition, right? So he uses his speed, he uses his agility, he uses his dexterity, and he gets across the field and is able to do this. So that's a pretty badass way to, one, you're going to show up and say, yeah, I can do an Avenger tryout, and I'm going to be an Avenger. Like Tim said, you got to be badass to even think you're going to be an Avenger.
That's right.
Because we're not talking about college all-stars. We're talking about the NFL all-stars to be an Avenger, baby. Mm-hmm. So I thought that's badass.
Super pro.
Yep. Super pro. Well, that's not badass. Anyway, that's just ass bad. Yeah. So that was a pretty good introduction. My second one. See, I'm going to actually use an event that happened in an X-Men book.
Another passage from the Chapel of Uncle Gary, ladies.
That's right. But this happened in an X-Men book, but at the time, he was an Avenger. So in X-Men 111, he goes because he's got a distress call that none of the X-Men he reached, and he finds that they're all in a carnival.
Oh yeah.
Masterminded by Maresmo, and Maresmo. This is a prelude to what I'm actually going to say. Maresmo couldn't even melt his mind like he did the other X-Men. Hypnotize. Couldn't even hypnotize him. But that leads into a Magneto being somebody that was pulling the strings of Maresmo to get all this underway. And of course, Magneto beats them all, takes them to the underground, his underground hideout in Antarctica, and they're in prison there. And then in X-Men 113, 112 Magneto kicks their ass. 113, he's got them in prison there, and they break out, and it's one of the greatest fight scenes ever. If we ever, I wasn't on the Cyclops show, but if I'd ever done that, his badass moment for me would have been how he directed the X-Men in that fight when they finally kicked Magneto's ass, who had kicked theirs in the 2 previous incarnations of the new X-Men. So during that, the lava comes in, that, they were under an active volcano. The volcano explodes, and the Beast and Phoenix are separated from the rest of the team. And the rest of the team think that Jean and Hank have died. Jean and Hank think the rest of the team has died. Where the rest of the team gets off easy, gets to the Savage Land, the Beast and Marvel and Phoenix are in the Antarctic, in the Antarctic frozen wasteland during a blizzard. Hank goes at the end of issue 113. Hank collapses after about 100 yards and he can't go any further. When 114 opens, they show him carrying her, and he looks like the abominable snowman. He's got so much snow on him, and he has been carrying her for hours. And the dialogue is, he should have quit hours ago, but there's something inside him, some spark, some fire that won't allow him to quit. And he's trying to carry her to safety, and he gets her far enough where there's been a helicopter from one of the research stations has come in to investigate the volcano, going on, and that the searchlights, the Beast, they're not going to see him, and he awakens her, kind of bats her around a little bit, and she awakens as a phoenix and shoots a flare in the sky, and that's why they're seen. But just his perseverance to get up, when he could have just laid down and died. But and had it been just for himself, maybe he would have. But he's going to save his teammate, or his former teammate, and he's going to carry her through the snow, through the blizzard, an Antarctic blizzard, for hours. So, I just think that's pretty badass and shows the love for a teammate and the perseverance and the courage that he had within him. Now, the last badass moment is taken from what's been going on lately, the part of the character I don't like, but I have to admit, you got to have some big, giant, hairy blue balls on you to make a bunch of Wolverine clones and set them out there in the world, not thinking that you're going to piss off the original. So that I think that takes some big blue hairy gonads.
Oh my lord!
Yep. So that's my badass moment.
Those are good ones, and of course they pick up badass moments from the X-Men. But anyhow, that's all right. We'll just move on from there. One of my first badass moments is actually when he beats up Frenzy, and this is in X Factor 9, and this is just after the Pestilence touch. I believe he actually intercepts Pestilence when she's about to touch Bobby Drake, and I want to say there was some more details to that, like he had some type of something going on with his system, and that's why he was reverted back to human form. But Pestilence touch activated something else, so it was bouncing back between furry and human, while this was going on. But finally, he breaks free of that, and he's going to help his teammates, and he's talking to the sentient ship that they've stolen from Apocalypse, and he starts, pontificating, and he's like, realizing, hey, I've got all my intelligence back. He's big and furry, and they, the ship points it out, or someone points it out to him. He goes, "Yep, I'm, big and furry, blue and furry again, but I am back intelligence-wise, and I'm ready to help out." And they say, "Well, Frenzy's out there," and he goes, "Oh well, she's the only thing she responds to is sheer like power." And I've got a lot of that right now. Yeah, so he goes, "A teleportation beam, if you don't mind." And sure enough, he goes down there and he beats the hell out of Frenzy. My second moment was actually from what Dan said was curing the legacy virus. When he finally cured the legacy virus, he was so happy. He was literally bouncing off the walls. He nearly dive tackles Wolverine in the process. Going, "I've done it! I've done it! I've done it! I've done it!" And I'm like, "What the?" That type of situation. But that's how I like that moment, because it really showed his true enthusiasm for discovering something or creating or doing something that's going to be completely helpful to the mutant race. And then I told Dan that I was going to use this one, but it was actually from the TV show, the TV cartoon, when he was fighting Sebastian Shaw. he said, Sebastian Shaw was like, hey, whenever you hit me, it's going to just make me more powerful. He's like, who said I'm going to hit you? And he starts spinning him on his feet like a circus clown.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I didn't realize that I got that confused. Nightcrawler did the same thing to him in that X-Men Dark Phoenix saga, but they took that and put that in the cartoon, and I got the two confused. But it's still a pretty badass movie. He's like, who said I'm going to hit you? And then he starts spinning him around. And then one of the last badass moments is from Avengers Volume 1, 151.
There you go.
And it's a quote that comes from him, and I just like it because it really describes his personality, or his personality. He goes, the bouncing, bubbly beast boy chick who's in like Flynn with a big grin, that's how he talks, and I love that about him, how he talks like that. So I had to pull that quote in as a badass moment. There you go. Avengers Volume 1, 151.
There you go.
All right. So let's go on to our next segment now, which is critiques and criticisms and what we don't like about the character. And I'll go ahead and I'll kick this one off really fast because honestly, there's only two things I really don't like about the guy.
I'm gonna guess we're all gonna be pretty simpatico in this.
I think we are too. And let's just take the cat out of the bag. I don't like the dark or evil version of him, or how he progressed into Dark Beast. When they had the Dark Beast character in Age of Apocalypse, I didn't mind that. That was actually pretty cool. Yeah. I didn't like the progression that they took him on to make him like another version of the Dark Beast. I didn't like that whatsoever. I also didn't like how they kept mutating him more and more, and so he went from a beast, the blue and furry beast, to more of a cat-like creature.
Mm.
Seriously, it's like.
And then the John Cassidy variant cover that's coming out soon.
Right. You want to distract him, just throw him a ball of yarn. Here you go. Yeah. So I didn't like that because I felt like that took away from his ability to be like a researcher or the intelligence guy to be creating in his lab and stuff like that. Because when he was back in being the blue furry beast, you would see him hanging upside down by his feet, mixing stuff. Doing all sorts of things.
Yeah, hanging upside down, pouring
instead of at a scratching post.
Yeah, exactly. So when they turned him into the cat thing, I think that took away from that, and I didn't like that. So Dan, why don't you go ahead next on that?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing for me. I like him best as the human looking guy with the kind of oversized hands and feet. Second best look is the one like Gary has there with the the one that I think most people associate him with from the 90s, the blue furry one. But yeah, when they kept making him more bestial, when it was when Grant Morrison started on the book.
Yep.
I didn't like that, and they kept making it more and more like that. He even has a line early on, in that where he talks about because he's got like the big paws and he's, trying to learn to adjust because he can't do like the science stuff that he did before because he has to figure out how to use these these big paws. So I never liked that. And yeah, the way they just turned him into an evil dick like he is now. Yeah. Dark Beast was a cool character. Dark Beast was a cool character in Age of Apocalypse. And when he was one of the characters that survived Age of Apocalypse and came into the 616 universe, like, okay, that's cool because it's like, it's the opposite of the Beast that was in the regular Marvel universe, and that made him interesting. But the more that they have had Beast progress into being that, and it's like it's just another of that character now. Like it wasn't, that's not who he is. I don't like that. I think that goes very much against what the character has been, but I think they've been doing that for a few years with a lot of the X-Men characters, with a lot of core stuff for them, especially the original ones, that they've been doing a lot of changes to them. And, this is just one of the most egregious ones. Like I said before, he was always kind of like one of those guys that was the moral center. He at one point was chastising Cyclops for having this, Black Ops X-Force team. And then what does he do? He does the same thing, but even worse now. And, there was when he brought the original X-Men back, from the past to like show Cyclops like, hey, you're on the wrong track. And These
The
are the
future
ones,
you is being a dick.
You're on the wrong track, and they're here to remind you of it. Like, he's even worse now. There was that scene when the Watcher shows up and looks at him, is like, I'm the Watcher, and I don't interfere, but you, Hank McCoy, disgust me.
Yeah, that was a great quote.
Like, yeah, like that's not who the Beast should be.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. So, and with what they're doing, what they're starting to do with him now, I think that I think they're gonna, Gary's talked about it before, and we've talked about it before. I think they're gonna turn the clock back on him, which is something that they definitely need to do.
Yep, I agree, and I think Gary's right. I think that's gonna happen. I think that's gonna happen. But Tim, why don't you go ahead next, and I'll have Gary round us out on that.
Oh, Gary, needs to have the bookend of this. I will be short and sweet. Beast.
That's the way we like you. That's the way we like you.
Exactly.
You're sweet and savory.
I'm like an appetizer, ladies and gentlemen. I think major criticism, like everybody else. Beast is not evil. When Age of Apocalypse was going on, Dark Beast, like you said, Sal, that was perfect. Dan, you said the same thing. That was great. There's an awesome character. It was a really neat twist to a beloved character in an alternate universe where it should have stayed.
Like all the characters that were in that.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And when he came over, when Dark Beast came into the 616 proper, I'll talk about that a little more here in just a few minutes. That worked too, because you had that guy right there fighting the polar opposite of what he should be. Right. And it worked. But what's going on in the X-Men now? I'm with all three of you. I completely disagree with that. I think they have taken a character and ruined it. Sounds very similar to what Zeb Wells is doing with fucking Spider-Man.
Wait, what did Spider-Man do?
Nothing. He did nothing. He did zero. Zip, zilch, nada. Big fat goose egg. Same thing with Beast. They should have never turned him evil. That's why I'm not reading X-Men right now. Wait till the Fall of X. When it's all said and done, I'll read when Beast comes back as an Avenger-esque character. Until then, yeah. Marvel, you're doing it wrong. Gary, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. All right. Y'all are exactly right. I have hated what they have done to the Beast the past 15, 20 years. They have killed this character. And you're right. The Dark Beast idea was great to use those parallels between them. But to make that how Hank McCoy acts, you don't need to do that because you have a character called Dark Beast.
He's already there.
Existing character. He's there. Use the yin. Use the yang. Have them.
Here's how the writer's room went, Gary. It's like, hey, what if we turn Beast evil? Well, we already have that. We have Dark Beast. Yeah, but what if Beast is Dark Beast? But we already have that. Yeah, but what if he is? I like it. Let's print it. Get to writing.
Go.
But like you said about Age of Apocalypse, it was a good twist on the character.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what all the characters were. It was the twist of what Magneto was to, and Magneto's kind of become the character he was in Age of Apocalypse to an extent. But they had the twist on the Wolverine and Jean are together. Like,
but the difference between the difference between the two, though, is Magneto never specifically saw himself as a villain. He saw himself at worst of a vigilante, maybe, but the things he was doing, he felt he was doing for the betterment of his species. I think with Dark Beast, he just wanted to experiment. And
you can't even tell the difference between the characters
right
now, which is so ridiculous. And it was fine for Dark Beast to come over to the 616 and stay there because he's a great antagonist. Mm-hmm. He's great to do that. He's great to infiltrate, like maybe Dark Beast infiltrated. It's not really Hank. That's fine too. But don't sit there and do that to Hank, because Hank McCoy was one of the most honorable characters around. He was the moral, Tim said he's the center. He's not just the center, he was the moral center. Yep. So he was that too. He counseled Simon when Simon was going through his problems where, to feel worthy, and he had died again and things like that. And then when it came out that the embezzlement that Simon, that his brother always got blamed for because his brother was a super villain, and Simon came out and said, no, it was really me. And the Beast was there to counsel him to go through that when Simon wanted to come clean with the public. And the Beast has always been there for him. So I hated how they've turned him. I'm like you, Sal. I hated the secondary mutation into a damn cat. He's not a cat. He's more of a ape man. He's more of a gorilla man, a monkey man. George Perez used to I love drawing the big monkey man. He loves and that to me, just that's the look of the beast that I like the best. He's more of a big gorilla than he is a cat. And like you say, he's got because the gorillas have the more humanoid fingers and things like that. And again, hanging upside down, doing his experiments, that is fantastic. Bouncing off the walls, you're talking about the great quote he had. There was one where he was running to an emergency and he just got out of the shower. He's dripping water. He drips on the Scarlet Witch. And she says, "Beast got me wet." He goes, "My apologies, Miss Scarlet." They're calling her Miss Scarlet. So I just love the joy to be that character had, and to just make him this evil prick. Again, there's a character called Dark Beast. That's that character. This is not Hank McCoy. You've bastardized Hank McCoy. Now, I told y'all fellas months ago that in a current one of the X-Men books, that they mentioned that the Beast destroyed all of his templates to come back, except for his time as an Avenger. And I said, there's no way you put that in the exposition that whatever character had said that, unless that is a future plot point. And it looks like that is a plot point that because I saw in the previews where
when there a panel for it.
Well, were you talking about the new thing, or when they talked about the Beast destroying his?
I think that where they're talking about it.
Yeah, there was a panel where the two characters were discussing this, that Beast has destroyed all his templates except for the one of his time as an Avenger. And in the new previews for an upcoming X-Force, they show the cover, an homage to the cover of Giant Size X-Men 1, with the characters in the background, and the Beast and Wonder Man are bursting through, coming at you. So I believe that Wendy will try to reclaim, I hope Wendy's there to be there for the Beast as he tries to reclaim his status, when he was a great character, and his goodness, and maybe even protect him from everybody coming after him. So it looks like they're doing the right thing. And then the other thing this Dark Beast crap has done is it killed one of the very best friendships in the Marvel universe. I mean, what a great bromance, right? The Beast and Wonder Man was an unlikely pair, but oh my God, I think it's Avengers, the Red Ronin episode. I think it's 198 of Avengers. Simon Williams and the Beast are walking down a street at like 4 a.m. drunk off their asses, singing "Lovely Miss Brown" or some crazy old tune. Drunk off their asses. There's other where they're in a movie theater watching The Adventures of Robin Hood, I think. You just killed one of the greatest romances ever. Or bromances, this great friendship. And I just absolutely hated how they've treated the Beast for the past 20 years. And it finally, somebody has come to their damn senses, and it looks like we're going to restore Hank McCoy. And you know what? I get Sal saying, "Oh, he's an X-Men, not an Avenger." And you know what? I get that. He's teasing. But it's when we read it. But what we can agree on is Hank McCoy needs to have a sense of humor, and needs to be full of heart, full of hope, and the moral center of whatever team he is on.
Yep,
I agree.
So that's what we need. And I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't think it's the train. I think we're good.
And what's going to happen too is, eventually when they bring back the Avengers era, Beast, how many years of stories are we going to have where everyone's going to distrust him because it'd be like, we saw what you turned into, what you could do again. I mean, it hasn't even been written yet, and I already know that that's what it's going to be for years. And they're going to have some story and some big moment where Beast, could go either way, and he's going to choose the right thing to do, and everyone's going to go, "Oh, okay, now we know." Like,
we should have trusted him all along.
We know what the story beats are going to be for this stuff.
Well, I hope Wonder Man's right there beside him to support him the whole way. So, I mean,
I agree.
And the other thing is, Wonder Man doesn't need to be a damn pacifist. Come on.
Yeah.
Knock that
there's another thing, too. Like, even before Wonder Man, he had, like, a really strong friendship with Iceman. And, like, over the years, they kind of they've kind of let that one, they've kind of let that one fall to the side too. But of all the original 5 X-Men, it was like him and Iceman, used to have that good bond.
Yep, very true, very true. All right, Sonny said that we need the real Hank McCoy back. 100% agree there.
We need
Sonny.
the real McCoy. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
That's what we need.
there you
The
go.
real McCoy. Good
The
job,
real
Sonny.
Good job.
TJ also says he is the original furry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
That's true.
Beast was a player because I'm telling you, I almost put in my badass moment when he did come back with the 3 supermodels after the all-night soiree. So that was almost my badass moment.
Very, very true. Very true. All right, let's get on to some top covers. And Tim, why don't you go ahead and show yours first?
Okay, so take a peek at these, gentlemen.
Ooh, nice one.
Oh,
so let's start all the way over to the right first.
I think I got the same.
Well, you'll see it again, but this is the Alex Ross version of the classic Jim Lee. The classic Jim Lee cover. I think Ross did a beautiful job portraying Beast in all his 90s glory. Right there, he is front and center. That big hand coming right at you, the feralness that's there, but the intelligence that's behind those eyes. That is a beautiful modern representation of a classic cover. In the center, X Factor. I love this cover because this showcases exactly what we've been talking about this whole episode, where he is the center of the team. He is the backbone. He knows his place as far as that goes. And what's he's doing right here? He has got legs locked around Cyclops. He's hanging out of the helicopter, blasting away at these 2 military attack helicopters. And it is absolutely fantastic. I love this cover right here.
That's a great Simonson cover. Yep.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. And I think it represents the humanish version of Beast the best, especially when he was on X Factor. And then over on the left, what issue number is that? I have to
That is 264.
264. Yeah, the cover there, that is Jim Lee, I believe. Yes,
it is.
And it is absolutely gorgeous. I was trying to find unique Beast covers on Uncanny X-Men, and there's not a whole lot of them.
You're right. That was on my short list too.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that he's not on the cover of a team that he is a major part of, but right there, he is dead center, and it is absolutely fantastic, and I love it.
Nice.
Good
All
choice.
right, Gary, why don't you show us your covers next, Gary?
Okay.
In my continuing protest, I didn't use any X-Men covers. All right. So on our far left is the aforementioned Avengers 137. And the Beast is going through these mines. Thor is down. Iron Man is down. Wasp is injured. Yellow Jacket, all he can do is hold Janet, and Moondragon. She was useless. So anyway,
but she looked good. Looked good in the outfit.
You know what? Her hairdo just throws me for a loss.
Wow.
So, but I do wonder, does the carpet match the drapes? All right. So
this is an After Dark, Gary.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
I don't know, Tim. Who's the one that dropped the F-bomb already?
Yeah, that's right. I
digress.
Interior decorating. That's all. So, anyway, here's his first issue as an Avenger. Gangway, an Avenger is coming through. After what he did there, you damn right he is. So I just think that's a great cover. Yep. That is by the great legendary John Romita Sr. So I think that's just a great way to introduce yourself as an Avenger.
I'm used to seeing Romita Sr. do Spider-Man. Seeing him do Beast, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, well, look at the Thor and the other Avengers are pretty good there too.
Oh yeah.
So, the center one is from the Beauty and the Beast miniseries. That is a great Bill. I'll say Sienkiewicz is how I'll pronounce it.
Sikowitz.
There you go. That'll work too. Do you know who he's romancing there? What gal?
Not offhand.
It's
That is-
Dazzler, isn't it?
That is Dazzler.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
was
is.
gonna say. Yeah, I thought it was Dazzler.
Yep. I just think that's a really neat cover. I love it. That was an interesting mini series that was a lot of fun, but I just think that's a very striking cover. And
You've
then
talked about it a couple times on other shows too.
absolutely. And then of course the great George Perez on Avengers 14 Volume 3 and the great Wonder Man Beast reunion after Wendy has been dead for a while and he was resurrected. And the Beast, who's been with the X-Men, had to get away from the X-Men to find out, is Wendy back? And this was a great reunion, a great friendship episode. And this is just a perfect issue. And that cover is a perfect, perfect illustration of what their friendship is. Matter of fact, when he first shows up to see if Wonder Man's there, he's got a bunch of flowers in his hand. He tackles Wendy to the ground and puts a kiss right on his lips, and hands him the flowers. So, I mean, that is just what their relationship is. So those are my three.
Look at the way he's drawn there too. That's just perfect. The way he's
Perez,
yeah.
man. I know.
Perez, man. All hail Perez.
All hail George.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dan, why don't you go ahead and show us your top covers?
All right, so I'll start off on the left. I've got Amazing Adventures number 11. This is where he went from being human to being the covered in. Originally, it was gray fur, and it was gray for a couple issues before they changed it to blue. I'm not really sure exactly the reason why. I haven't looked it up. I'm assuming just because they realized that blue looked a little better than gray.
He hadn't had sex in a long time, and that, the blue emanated.
I almost spit my drink out. Jeez.
Yeah, so I got that one on there because, like Tim said, even though he's a founding X-Men character, there's not a lot of Beast-centric covers. Like, he's on a lot of covers, but he's on them as part of the team. There's not that many where he's the focus of it. So that was one of the first, and the one that gave him the look that we're most familiar with.
I think that's a Gil Kane cover too.
Yeah, and in the middle, I got X-Men 1. Classic 90s, awesome Jim Lee cover, and even though there's 4 other characters on it, like, he's the one that's in the foreground. It's a great pose for him too, great action pose. So I had to have that on there. And then all the way on the end, X Factor 33.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah,
that awesome Walt Simonson one where he's just busting out of something and just coming straight at you. He's the only one on the cover. You don't need the background. It's just got the action lines. He looks really fierce, like he's getting ready to tear into someone. And it's absolutely fantastic. And I got to say, like I said, there's one cover that I didn't think about until after I put these up, and I haven't seen anyone put it up yet. So maybe Sal will have it on his, but if not, then I'll hold it up afterward.
I like those choices. And Dan, honestly, I would have used that X-Men 1 cover by Lee, but I knew somebody else would do it.
Oh yeah.
So that, but that is definitely one of the greatest covers of the Beast.
Definitely. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up my covers. I got some more. I could talk more about that X Factor 33. All right. So
look at that.
Look at that.
Wow.
So I've, Amazing Adventures number 11, the Beast. This is just, a perfect example of him coming through and causing havoc to any bad guy in the situation. I love it. X-Force number 6. Look at him. He's actually plowing through a group of baddies while reading a book.
There you go. That could have been a badass moment.
Yeah, that could have been a badass moment on its own, very easily. And of course, Dan had this one, X Factor 33. This is the one where he's about to beat up Frenzy, the sentient ship. The sentient ship. See, he was like reverting from human to beast form or the blue furry form, back and forth, and it kept breaking the restraints that they had on him. So the ship had to keep restraining him. And finally, when he overcomes Pestilence Touch, and he breaks out of it. This is one of the splash pages in the actual comic. It's similar to that anyhow, but he's busting off the the med table is what it is.
Well, Sonny says he's glad he finally knows why Beast turned gray. Thank you, Uncle
thank you,
Gary, for your knowledge.
There you go.
Sonny, I'm here for you, buddy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyhow, so that's the X
Sorry,
Factor
Sal.
33. No, that's fine. That's fine. And that rounds out our top covers. But,
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, do you know where we can find top covers besides Uncle Gary's basement?
I know a
On
place.
the talking
should be-
ship from Apocalypse.
Heroes Corner.
Gary's got it right. You can go to Heroes Corner Comics. Check out heroescornercomics.com. Use the code word Codex and save 20% on that order. Not only do you get back issues, slabs, store exclusives, but you can also set up a preview pool list with them and save even more on your monthly pools. Go check them out at heroescornercomics.com or on Facebook on Heroes Corner Insiders. Check them out. And don't forget the code word. That's code -X.
There
And
you go.
save 20%.
Oh no, just Codex, no hyphen for this one.
Oh, is it? No, I'm sorry. There's a hyphen on the other one. Okay, sorry. Just Codex, no hyphen.
There
And
you
if you use the code
See?
phrase "the beast has blue balls," you'll get a special gift.
You get a special gift from Gary.
Oh my
I gotta
god.
say, I was hoping someone else would have this cover. Like I
Which
said,
one is it?
When I was pulling up my Beast covers to put in here, I saw this one. I was like, I definitely would have put this in if I had thought about it.
What is it?
To
Show it.
classic X-Men Avengers 167. Where
Oh,
front and center,
Yep.
Beast
Yep.
is keeping down, just knocking out Charlie 27, and there's a ton of characters on here.
Wow.
Front and center, gorgeous cover.
Perez.
It was,
Yes.
when I was pulling out books to put on the rack for this, I was like, oh my God, how could I have forgotten this one? This 100% would have made my top 3 if I had thought about it. But
That's
Wow.
also
Nice.
the first. That's the first issue in the Korvac saga.
yeah.
nice. All right, so for our next segment, it's going to be essential readings. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off for that?
All right, so I'm going to start off Amazing Adventures 11 through 16. I had the 11 on my top covers. So this is where the Beast, was going solo really for the first time from the X-Men. It's where he does the experiment on himself, doesn't go quite right. He becomes gray and furry, then blue and furry. It's the first time he's really the star on his own. So, to get to know him, like I said, in that form and on his own, that I feel like that's essential. Also got X-Men Origins Beast. It's a one-shot, and it tells his origin from kind of when he's in high school all the way up until he joined the X-Men. And kind of delved into it in an issue of X-Men earlier than this in the original run, but it was only a few pages. This is spread out through a whole issue, so it gets into it a bit more. And then I've got X-Men Endangered Species. It is right after M Day when there's only 200 mutants left, and they're trying to find a way to restart the mutant race essentially, and Beast is the key figure in the storyline. There's a lot of the issues it's just him, and he's working tirelessly trying to find a way to restart mutancy, and and it shows what he's willing to how much work he's willing to put in to get this done, and it's a very Beast centric story.
Right on.
Awesome. All right, so why don't we go ahead and bring my readings up next? All right, so here we go. We got X Factor. Why is there an E at the end of that?
It's probably just a mistake there.
Probably. It should be
Story.
Effectore.
Expectore.
It's the Spanish
Sal's
version.
Italian. That's why.
That's right. Right. All right. Before I
So
dive
it's
into
not
my
a
readings,
mistake.
I gotta ask one question though. Why does Beast have a ponytail on this graphic? Is that a ponytail he's got going?
That's from the Ultimate Beast. From the
Okay. I did not know that.
He saw what happened after Superman came back, and he had a ponytail, and he thought he could do
Right.
that.
It's
rocking the ponytail.
stylish and profilish.
Styling and profiling.
There you
like
go.
a certain Ric Flair that we know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Styling and profiling. Yep.
All right, so X Factor 31 through 33. This is where he actually saves Iceman's Pestilence Touch. He reverts to the Blue Fuzzy, battles Frenzy. It's a great mini story, you want to say, in this whole thing. And I love the X Factor's sentient ship at the time. It was just a good story all around, and it's not a long story, so it works out really well. So definitely check that out. Uncle Gary mentioned this one, Uncanny X-Men number 111, Mind Games. This is where he finds out the traveling circus is all the former X-Men, and Mesmero cannot, hypnotize him whatsoever due to his willpower to resist that. And it's a great one-shot story. So definitely check that out.
When he was an Avenger.
When he was an Avenger, ladies and gentlemen. Jeez. There, Gary. Are you happy now?
I'm very happy, Sal.
Awesome. And Dan also had this one, X-Men Origins Beast. This was like you said, a one shot before he joined the X-Men. He does fights a battle with his father, not with his father, but something with his father. Gets kidnapped or something like that. And at the end, Charles Xavier, of course, recruits him for the X-Men. So this is a great one shot. Almost like a retcon, like a prequel to what you'd see for the Beast joins the X-Men and goes on to his story from there. But yeah, definitely check that out. So Tim, why don't you go next, and we'll let Uncle Gary clean up.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and start right at the top. X-Men self-titled Volume 1, numbers 1 through 11. This is the Jim Lee run. Beast has a major part in those 11 issues. The only reason I say just focus on those, it's the Jim Lee era. If you want to read more after that, definitely do it. There's a lot of great stories, but these first 11 prominently portray Beast, especially in the first couple of issues. And it was the height of the 90s. Very amazing artwork, wonderful storytelling, just awesome all around. X Factor Volume 1, numbers 1 through 70. The reason why I put all of those in there is because you don't have to read them all, right? But we've been talking about it pretty much from the beginning of the episode all the way up till now. You've heard all these amazing stories that take place in the middle of that numbering. So now you know where the original X-Men are after they leave the X-Men, reform into X Factor. It's issues 1 through 70 before they go back to what is right above that, X-Men Volume 1, numbers 1 through 11. So awesome stories in there. First appearance of Apocalypse, when Beast gets touched by pestilence, when he beats snot out of frenzy, so on and so forth. You've heard it all. It's right there in the center. The one down below, though, is the one that I really dug, and that was the one that I read doing research for Beast, like trying to refamiliarize myself with him. And I looked up online awesome Beast stories, and the only one they mentioned was X-Men Unlimited number 10, but it's a two-parter, right? So X-Men Unlimited number 10 and X-Men or Uncanny X-Men number 331 involves Dark Beast, right? But the Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse. And he realizes that there is another beast in this universe, in this world, this mirror image for him, right? And he's learning things about this beast, our beast, hunting him, watching him, killing people from his past, and so on and so forth. And the whole time this is going on, while Dark Beast is killing these people that knew Hank McCoy, he is in the middle of trying to cure Falnax, right? And he's working himself to death. He's overexhausted. He's all these other things, but you get to see his his mind at work and why he does the things that he does and why he worries so much about the well-being and the care of his fellow teammates, his fellow mutants. And then on the other end, you see Dark Beast doing all the nasty things that he does. Well, it finally comes to the culmination of them two meeting and fighting and things like that. And it's an awesome fight. It really is. It's great. But something happens at the end where our Beast is incapacitated. If you've read it, you know. If you haven't, go read it. And then it moves into Uncanny X-Men 331, which I won't tell you anything about because you have to read that. But yeah, those are my recommendations right there.
Very
right,
nice.
That's good. Gary, go ahead and round this out on this one.
All right. Look at those. All right. Well,
X-Men.
Triple A.
Yeah, Triple X-Men. We're going to go Amazing Adventures 11 through 17, which was his run as the lead character in there. As you know, Dan had discussed, that's where he changed. And issue 16 is very interesting because it is the first part of the first unofficial DC Marvel crossover.
Ooh.
In Amazing Adventures 16, oh gosh, I can't remember which issue of Thor, maybe 229, maybe, and Justice League 103. The writers were Steve Englehart, Len Wein, and Jerry Conway, and they had an unofficial crossover idea where it was centered around Rutland, Vermont, where the guy, I can't remember his last name, his first name was Gary, but he held these legendary Halloween parties that were superhero themed, and they would even have parades downtown, and people would be in superhero costumes. And in these issues, and I remember reading JLA 103 is when I first saw this and was intrigued to see Thor standing on a float, you know, in Rutland, Vermont as part of the Halloween parade, and Spider-Man. And you could tell, you know, these were like off-kiltered uniforms, like it was supposed, you know, they weren't trying to exactly make it like the uniform that, I guess, you know, copyright issues and all that, but you could tell that it was participants in the parade and on the floats. And in the same thing with the two Marvel issues, they'd have DC characters in there, but also the writers and their wives, like Len and Glennis Wein were in it, and Jerry Conway and Steve Englehart. They were all part of the story, and they were characters in all three stories. Wow. Marvel and DC did not know they were doing this, so it's kind of interesting. And it also made me look into the whole Rutland Halloween parades that he Gary Fagan might have been his name, might have been Fagan, and I guess he died about 10 years ago, but it was about 30 years that these parades went on, and a lot of the comic writers and artists would go there for that to celebrate Halloween in Rutland, Vermont. So kind of just a little neat little comic inside baseball story. But anyway, I digress. Avengers Volume 3. But anyway, you're going to read 11 through 17 because that's where he transformed himself and became from what became the character that I find very interesting, the furry beast. So Avengers Volume 3, number 14 is that I showed the cover earlier with Wonder Man and the Beast having their reunion after Wendy comes back from the dead. That is just a great issue, great reunion, gets into their their whole dynamic, their relationship. And then to take it even further, Avengers 2, Wonder Man and the Beast. It was a 3-issue miniseries, and it was just a lot of fun. And the art on it, Tim, you love the art on that, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Bagley art.
It's amazingly Bagley art.
Bagley art. So it was just a wonderful thing.
I have the issues floating around here somewhere.
Well, I think the cover of number 2 has got the Beast and Wonder Man. They're fighting, and Beast is saying to him, "This is another fine mess you've gotten us into."
Yes, that's right. Yep.
So
nice.
Just again, that relationship, that camaraderie is one of my absolute favorite in comics. So those are the issues that I would like you to read. And I'll tell you a little secret. Beast as an X-Men, the old Hank McCoy, is just fine. It's just this new stuff that has turned me off so much about his, being an X-Men right now. So hopefully we go back to the Beast that we all know and love. And those are my picks.
Good choices, Gary. Good choices.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
And that
Love it.
Avengers 2 miniseries they reprinted about a year ago is like
They do
all 3
Yep.
issues in one
Nice.
thick issue.
Yep.
Nice.
And it's very affordable and it's very recent, so you can surely pick it up. Yep.
Mhm.
Very cool. Very cool. You know what? I wish it could only be better if they were like X-Men issues. I'm digressing here.
You just can't have everything you want, Sal. You know.
I know. I just
can't.
can't.
You know, but sometimes you just might
You get what you need.
What you need.
Very
You
good. Get what you
Very
need.
good.
There you go.
See, you're right. We're right,
Oh my
right there,
God.
baby.
Right there. All right, for our next segment, ladies and gentlemen, this is Best Author and Artist. Now, this is not necessarily two that work together at the same time, but two that we think represent the character the best. And Tim, why don't you go ahead and kick us off for that? Go now. Tim.
The husband and wife team, Walt and Louise Simonson. I'll go that route. I think they did an amazing job with Hank McCoy during X Factor. I think that is quintessential Hank and Beast all around. The artwork is amazing. The writing is spectacular. Yeah,
And nice people to boot.
absolutely. The Simonsons.
Nice people to boot.
100%.
I met Louise, and she was a sweetheart. So can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Uncle Gary, what's yours?
All right, I'm going to go with the guy that transformed the Beast. Well, Jerry Conway wrote the first issue of Amazing Adventures where he transformed. But 12 through 17 was written by a fellow named Steve Englehart. And Steve Englehart is the fellow that brought him into the Avengers as he was writing Avengers. So without Steve Englehart, I don't think the Beast ever becomes an Avenger. So I believe that, and give him that happy-go-lucky attitude and all that. So for me, my writer is going to be Steve Englehart. And my artist is going to be the fellow that liked to draw the big blue monkey man, George Perez.
There you go. Can't go wrong with that.
Mhm.
All right, Dan, you're next.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards picking one of the, a writer for him for Avengers, but there were so many good ones. Like there was Englehart and there was Jim Shooter that had a good run. And, so I had a hard time narrowing it down for Avengers. So I ended up just going with Louise Simonson because I really like what she did with them on X Factor.
It was a good choice.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. And for artists, I got to be lame. I couldn't choose just one. It's a tie for me between two of my favorite artists, George Perez and Jim Lee. Because I love George Perez. I love the way he drew him. But Jim Lee, had that quintessential Beast in the '90s and those in those early X-Men books. But I will say, like, John Byrne didn't draw him a lot, but he did draw him for a few issues in Uncanny. And I love the way he did it. So if John Byrne had more work on that character, he would have easily been my number one.
Perez would have a couple instances where the Beast would be held up by his scruff.
Yes,
just like you would hold up, like you would hold a puppy or a kitten, and that's just always got a kick out of the Beast being held up by the scruff on the back of his neck.
Nice. Yep. All right. For my choices, I almost echoed Dan. For artists, I went with Jim Lee and George Perez. I could not choose between one of them. I mean, they were both very good. Yeah, they both did a great job with that. For best writer, though, I am different. I'm going to go with Bob Layton, who wrote the early X Factor issues, and I really enjoyed his writing with that. So that's who I went with.
Good choice too.
Yep,
Lots of good creators all around.
Yeah, definitely.
So if we could put them all together and have them do a Beast, we have a pretty good book.
I'm glad we all agree. I'm glad we all agree that Beast is so much better as an Avenger. I'm really happy to hear y'all say that.
Hands down.
And we're done.
I associate him more with the X-Men, even though, like, when I started reading Avengers, and picking up those back issues, it was from the era that, that he was in it. But I will say, when he became an Avenger, that's where he really came into his own.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's going to be strange for me to read because I've never read those issues, and I've always known him as an X-Man. or a member of X Factor. So.
And look, it just goes to show you how influenced we are about our first exposure with a character. So I am so heavily influenced because I was so into the Avengers, and he was such an important part of that. Your exposures with X Factor, and that's what you're used to him as. Dan with the X-Men, and Sal. What was your first exposure to him? Was it X Factor too?
No, it was actually X-Men.
X-Men too. So it just, a lot of it goes to show you when you fell in love with that character.
Yeah.
And
you can see just how far reaching he is in the Marvel and in the 616 universe too. I mean, he's all over the place.
Well, and that's why I think it breaks all our hearts that they have just abused this character so badly for the past, I don't know, 15 years or so. That they've just destroyed what was such a great character by making him such a piece of crap.
I was kind of thinking about it. They seem to do that a lot with the characters that are like
Spider-Man.
super. I was gonna say with the character, but yeah, kind of with him, the ones that are like the super intelligent characters. At some point, they always have somebody write them where like, oh, they're gonna be dark. Like they did it with, they're doing it with Beast now. They did it with Reed Richards. They did it with Iron Man. They did it with Black Panther. It's like every character.
Hank Pym.
What?
Hank Pym.
Yeah. It's like a wife beater.
Yeah, like every character in Marvel, like, oh, if you have them and they're super smart, at some point someone's going to decide that they need to be evil. Like, why does being smart have to equal that you're a bad guy?
We talked to Bob Hall about the slap heard around the world.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. Sal, you were going to say something, though.
I was going to say, actually, I'm not sure if my very first exposure of the Beast was X-Men or that Avengers 160 where he battles his Simon's
the Grim
brother,
Reaper.
The Grim Reaper. I have to say that was one of the first issues of Avengers that I read that had him in it,
and that was so poignant. That issue was so great. And then the Beast asked Wonder if there's anything he can do. He says, "I just want to be left alone." After he's knocked his brother out. But the Beast made Wonder Man's outfit, that garish outfit that he wore.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
For a character that's had a lot of questionable costumes, that one was the worst.
That is
true.
That
wasn't the worst. There was a West Coast Avengers one that was much worse.
Oh,
green,
yeah, that one. Yeah, I know.
Green, that one was much worse.
That was pretty bad too. Yeah, but then again, the Beast has had some pretty terrible costumes. Not even talking about like the way he physically was presented, like where they made him more cat-like.
What he had that one that came up like this.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad. The one
the
one on X Factor where they're like. The one on X Factor where they're like, hey, let's give him a brown and yellow costume. Like,
that one wasn't that good.
Why?
So that actually, I was going to ask that. What's your favorite costume of Beast?
Oh, the figure that Gary's got right there.
Oof. There you go.
Kind of like the shorts. Yeah, not the briefs, but the shorts. Yeah, I like.
There's not much.
Like the Speedo? You don't like the Speedo? The Speedo version?
No,
there's
Speedo,
not much more you need.
I don't need to see the Beast in a banana hammock. Yeah,
I kind of like. The X-Men, when they first appeared, they all had the same costume, and then they convinced Professor X, like, hey, let us have individual looks. And he had that blue and red suit. I kind of like that one, that look for him. And the costume that Cyclops had was his costume for decades. The same one, for Jean Grey. He had that like green miniskirt one that he's gone back to now. The costume that Angel had was pretty terrible then.
Yes.
But, yeah, but the blue and red one that he had then, that they kind of mirrored it a little bit in X Factor.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be my choice.
That one wasn't bad, not at all.
For human form Beast, I like that blue and red one. But for blue and furry, I like the shorts.
It's got to be those for that one.
Yep, definitely. All right, folks. I think this can wrap up this episode of Comic Character of the Week. This is a great episode, guys. Good choices, good covers, good stuff all around. Once again, I am Sal, the Slab Guy, your host. As always, you can find me on the Codex Station, but when I'm not on Codex, you can find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner. Down below me is Dan the Man Kelly. Where can they find you at, buddy?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I post a few times a week, so come check it out. Give me a follow. Help me get to that help me get to
1K
that
for
1,000 goal.
1K for DK.
1K for the DK.
So,
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
check it out. And then the guy beside me, the man with the plan, he's going to tell you all about it now, all of his various goings on that he's got happening, all the shows that he appears on, all the venues he shows up in. You know, he's got a woman on each arm all the time, walking down the street. The magic of Uncle Gary.
Thank you. And let me tell you something. Just in case the redhead is watching, that is just for show, baby. You're the only one.
Actually, me in a wig. And
that's show, but yeah. And look, you know, I was shocked that Tim was that shapely. So you know. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, DK. Thank you for that. Listen, I am a proud co-owner of Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come in and see us. You can come see me every Wednesday, get my new books, and I'm injecting it. Let's do this arm. Injecting it right in there, right in that bloodstream. Comics build muscles. You read comics, you get big muscles. Do a few push-ups too, but you'll get big muscles. You do big muscles. So come do that. We also have a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. Next week will be an exception. We're taking off the last 2 weeks for the holiday, but please come see us. We had a show tonight, so come see myself. It's our Ye Grumpy Old Nerd show, and it is my best friend Mike Harbor and our principal owner Rob Kalin, and we sit there and talk nonsense. Today we did our best comics of the year show, which we really liked. So you can go to Facebook and see it on repeat. So we're there. Please come check it out. Also, we are all connected with Archduke Kevy's site that bound us all together, and is the way we formed this bond, this friendship, was Comic Character of the Day. Under the Facebook name Opie Taylor, I post the cover of the day. Dan does a random panel of the day, a question of the day. Sal is a frequent person that posts on there. And Tim is ever vigilant. He's ever watching. You know, we always know that Tim is watching. But
I'm watching Sal mess around on his phone now.
The real pleasure in Tim
I'm trying to record this because it's awesome.
Listening to that melodic voice of his, that wonderful, hypnotic, melodic voice of his. Just like Maresmo, Tim can get you to do whatever you want, just not by his eyes, but by that voice. And it's compelling, and it gets you home at night when you're trying to get home, you're trying to make that last mile. He is our version of WKRP's Venus Flytrap. He is the late night radio DJ with that silky smooth, soft voice that gets you home those last few miles. You're just trying to get to the front door. You're going to open that front door, and Tim's voice will resonate in your head as you slide and glide through your house. And as you get ready for bed, and as you slide into bed, and as you hit the pillow, the last thing you think of is Tim telling you, "Sleep dreams, you've made it home." Tim.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Nice.
The art bell of comic books. There we go. Don't forget all the socials. Uncle Gary says we have them all, and we
have them all.
Give them to you. Type in at the Codex Station your favorite social media platforms where we're live streaming right now. Do us a favor, give us the support that we would like to have from you. Hit the like, share, subscribe, or follow wherever you're at. It helps channels like ours branch out, get bigger, and become super awesome. And we would love to do that, and we need your help to do that. So once again, at the Codex Station. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you want more, and I mean more of Codex.
You want more? Right? More.
If you want us to go beach balls deep, head over to the codexstation.com for all your Codex needs, ladies and gentlemen. Get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, the codexstation.com. Now, though I may be the Art Bell of comic books, and I may have the silver tongue, the man sitting next to me, our host for this evening, our host of this masterpiece theater, is none other than the slab guy himself, Salvatore Rowe. He's going to take us home. He's going to grab the steering wheel. He's going to look through the looking glass and tell us which direction we need to go to rest our weary heads, so Uncle Gary can wake us up and take us to school in the morning.
That's right. Oh, I like what you did there. I saw what you did there.
That's nice. That is nice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. This has been an episode of the Comic Character of the Week. Be sure to tune into us next week when we cover our last character of the year. And I'm not going to tell you who it's going to be. So stand by, stay tuned and tune into us next week. Hope you guys have a 9.8 day.